Jeff, Michael, your turn. Can't hear you, you're on mute.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hello. I'm sorry, but hello again, fellow business at breakfast compatriots. Well, first, my name is Michael Barham, and I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and I am a professional photographer specializing in real estate, weddings, events, fine art, what have you, all aspects of photography. I sell my services by packages. For example, real estate photography ranges from packages from $150 to $400, and that's based on the square footage and how long it will take to shoot the property. The people who buy it, of course, are realtors and commercial agents. And that's my spiel.
Excellent. Well done. Thank you so much, Michael. Every week here at Business at Breakfast, one of the members gets the opportunity to share with the group further insights into their business or enlighten the group a little bit more about themselves. The member can use the time to problem solve or seek assistance from the group as a collective. The time is theirs to use however they would like. Today we have the wonderful Michael Barham from Michael Barham Photography. Michael's over at Atlanta, Georgia with Jeff Sheehan and Debbie Barker. So Michael discovered, let me start again. Michael discovered photography way back when he received a Kodak Pocket Instamatic camera for Christmas. Since then, Michael has honed his skills in the digital age, becoming a professional real estate photographer. In addition to real estate photography, Michael also does portraits, weddings, event photography, and fine art. Michael can be found at barhamphoto.com. And examples of his real estate photography can be found at mlbarham.myportfolio.com. There's a few ways to find and Google Michael while he speaks. So, Michael, you have up to 8 minutes to tell us more about what it is that you do. If you get to the 8-minute mark, I'm just going to do this. I'm not going to cut you off. I'm just going to do this, and that's up to you to wrap it up. If you happen to speak for less time, we'll just ask more questions. So all is good. And your turn. Take it away. Tell us more about yourself.
Well, thank you very much, Misty. Before I get started, may I ask if I have screen sharing capabilities? Or if you can grab it?
Yep, you absolutely have screen sharing capabilities.
Very good. Thank you very much. Well, breakfast at breakfast compatriots. I'm here again to tell you that my name again is Michael Barham, and I own Michael Barham Photography. And I do mostly real estate in addition to other packages. And I price my real estate by packages, again, ranging from $100 to $400 based on space, based on time, and based on how much equipment that I have to bring over there to lighten up a room. Yes, real estate photography is an art. It's not just going into a room and snapping pictures. You really have to consider the light coming in a room, especially if it's an empty room or if the room is already furnished. Now, let me give you a brief history of how I got into this. As Misty alluded to, I started with an Instamatic camera. How many people remember the Kodak Instamatic camera with the little flash cube on the top? And you couldn't put it in your back pocket because if you did and you sat down, that would be the end of your photography career right there. So I started with that, and as I progressed, I really enjoyed the sequence of photography, trying to take pictures, although that's what I was doing at the time, just taking pictures. So let's segue into 2002, which I call the digital age. And I was perusing in a Canon store, and I saw a very nice Canon single lens reflex camera where you could just change the lens. And I also thought, as the associate was explaining to me about the background behind the camera, I'm thinking, no more fixer and developer for developing films, no more chemicals, no more waiting at the drugstore for your films, your pictures to come back, anxiously awaiting to see what was good in the package of pictures that you left and what was bad and what you may have to shoot over. I've eliminated all of that. And plus, I was in information technology. So I already had a computer. I already had a printer, a scanner. So marrying photography with my computer, that was right up my alley. I studied how to use the camera, and I really studied how to go beyond taking pictures. I was now into the realm of telling a story, creating an event, creating a package. Now let's segue into 2020 up to now, where you have the advent of AI. I'm thinking that AI is fantastic. I'm on a plane going to Shreveport, Louisiana, and I take a book because that's what you do when you're on a plane rather than just sit there and enjoy the flight. I was reading this book on real estate photography, and as I was going through it, I'm thinking, this is cool. I know how to I know how to do some of the concepts. And again, it's playing with light, and it's almost like you creating your own style of picture. I started practicing as soon as I came back home. I had to practice on my house, shooting room to room per the specifications that they laid out in the book. And some of the pictures came out really good. The AI factor, I really love that because, as I probably mentioned before, now you go from taking pictures to making pictures. You can take a picture of an empty room and use visual staging, which is an AI package, and just load the room with furniture on your own creation. Now, just think about this. You take a picture of an empty room before AI, then you have to bring in furniture to stage it. Can you see how wonderful AI is now? I love it. And things that you might consider past real estate photography is, again, wedding photography. I do that by packages. I've shot about 10 weddings. I like it. I like the creativity. I like the fine arts, and I'll show you some examples in a few minutes. Fine art, event photography. That's telling a real story. While I was employed at Home Depot, I got a chance to shoot an event with Arthur Blank, and he signed my book, and someone actually took a picture with me and Arthur Blank with my own camera, which I really enjoyed. So event photography, photography as a whole gives you a chance to exercise your creative juices. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
So here's an example of real estate photography and AI. I shot this house earlier this year. It was an empty house, and I just went room to room, shooting, setting up the light. Then I found out visual staging. So as you can see, I haven't really purchased the software package yet. They allow you to experiment with it. So I took the software and just chose the furniture, and this is what I got. I love it. You can conquer the world with this. But some of the other things that I do, this is obviously a real estate photo with the house furnished. And your creativity is just trying to emphasize the house and the furniture style for the realtor in order to sell it. Here's an example of an engagement photo I did. This is my daughter and my son-in-law. A thank you card that I created for his family after they got married. This was done in Photoshop, which I will go through briefly later. And the last shot is what I call a fine art shot. This is one of my daughter's maternity pictures. I love doing silhouettes. Again, this brings out the creative aspect in me. I'm able to do all of these from a course called udemy.com. That's the name of the school. And I've just recently been certified in Photoshop. So I do lots of Photoshop editing that I have to do with real estate photography and all my other photography, as well as my business card here, because I chose this business card as a background, and this was done in Photoshop. And it dawned on me when I put it up, I don't have my other website on it. So I was tasked to going through 2 discs of pictures. As you can imagine, since 2004, I have loads and loads of pictures. I really need to tag my pictures and organize it, and that's going to be my ongoing project for this year. But in conclusion, I love photography. I can't express how much I love photography. It enables me to be creative. It enables me to connect. It enables me to tell a story. And thank you, everyone, for your time.
Excellent. Well done. Thank you so much, Michael. So does anyone have any questions for Michael? Yep, Dr. Chris.
Not so much a question, but kind of a comment that just to pick up on something that you said, Michael. Thank you very much for that. That was lovely, and some beautiful pictures there. And I love your silhouette work in particular. It's great. You mentioned telling a story, and I love quoting Sam Mendes, the film director Sam Mendes, who's directed Skyfall and 1917 and a whole stack of other brilliant movies. He was talking about the cameras in iPhones. And he was in an interview, and he said these cameras are very, very good. So everyone can make a film, but not everyone can tell a story. And that's the difference. And so you're saying that with a still photo, absolutely, you can tell a story in 1,000th of a second instead of an hour and a half. So yeah, well done.
Funny that you mentioned that. Yes, they do have really good cameras on iPhones. So I have an Apple Watch, which is, of course, connected to my iPhone. And I was going through the apps a couple of weeks ago, and I see this timing app for your camera. So I'm thinking, and I haven't played around with it yet, but I'm thinking you can actually set your iPhone on a stand and basically use your watch to time the shutter going off on the subject. I love tech.
Yes, I discovered last year that it takes at least 10 seconds to have the family who are already sitting there and organized to be ready to get their picture taken, and 3 seconds isn't enough, even though they're sitting there. So it takes 10 seconds, and the dogs look in other directions. So, kids and animals, not recommended. It's a hard photo to take, but I did get a Christmas picture at the end of last year, and we got the entire family, including both dogs. So that was kind of cool. So yes, I discovered that little thing too there, Michael, is the timer on cameras on the phones. Very cool. Diane, I know you were going to put your hand up, and then we'll go through Stuart and Renee.
It was just really quick, just thought it was really good, Michael, and I loved the thank you one. It looked stunning, absolutely stunning.
Thank you.
Excellent. Stuart, you've got your hand up?
Yeah, I'm a fan as well. Yes, I've got my Canon as well, and fellow photographer. I don't do as much of that nowadays, but the passion behind everything you do is very, very clear, and love the silhouette shots. And my goodness, Photoshop has come a long way in what you can do. But you can still make a mess with the best tools. So clearly, you're doing amazing work there. And leave it to the professionals. That's what I always say. So well done. It's fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
I was looking at the dressed room, like the empty room, then the dressed room, and when Michael said, and I get to go through and pick the furniture, I thought, oh my God. I've worked in furniture. There's too much to pick from. So yeah, leave it to the professionals. Let them pick the furniture. Renee, you've got your hand up?
I do. A real estate agent talked in one of our leads meetings about this very thing where you have the empty room, but they have digitized the contents of it. And I just wondered if you had any comments or feedback on whether that's a good practice or not, because the real estate agent had mixed reviews on that, because when people go to the actual property and don't see that stuff, it, they had anticipated a room full. So I didn't know if how that came across, if you have any comments on it.
I think it's wonderful in this aspect because, as I mentioned before, you either have your choice of digitizing the room or bringing in furniture and then shooting a picture. Now, just keep in mind that the only reason that this software exists to digitize the room is, well, of course, to save cost on moving furniture back and forth. But it just gives an idea of how the room would look with certain furniture in it. It's not really to, I say, replace anything. It's just to give an idea and a suggestion to the owner of how they could lay out the room with furniture.
Yeah, excellent.
I think it would be the salesperson, the real estate. It's an opportunity for the salesperson to say, "This is our idea. What would you do?" I think it would be a really good question for them. Anyway, just a thought.
And that's really what it comes down to, really, isn't it? Is the real estate agent learning to have to then sell the empty room to the person as well. So I can see that as a salesman, because I can definitely see it both ways, Renee, as well, because that's been on my mind too, is it looks great in the pictures, then you turn up, well, how does that play out? So interesting you bring that up. But yeah, that's a great answer to that one, Stuart, is for the salesman to go, the real estate salesman to go, okay, that was our idea, how would you do it? And then it puts them in the room. There's your answer, actually, for your real estate agent there, Renee. There's a great follow-up for you.
They do it on HGTV all the time.
Yeah, you get to say, like, I threw it out to a business group and that was the answer that came back. How would you do it? Once a person starts putting themselves in the picture and starts talking about what they would do, they've sold themselves on the whole thing. So, Debbie, last question. You're the last one.
I have a question and a comment, but my comment is, it looks better to have the furniture in the room. It's warmer. And if people are looking at it online, that's going to attract them more than if it was an empty room. So kudos to you to like technology and put those in there, because I did like that. But I do have a question. I have a friend of mine, and her grandson is studying to be able to take pictures on the outsides with a drone. And it has like a little screen on it. And do you run across people that are doing the real estate for the drone stuff as well?
Oh, yes. Lots of real estate photographers are using drones. And I haven't got into that because it seems to be extensive. And when I say extensive, you actually have to get a certification before you do.
Yeah.
Yes. And I haven't gone in that direction yet. But
yeah, he's studying, and
just the thought of launching a drone over my own house and just taking that and just seeing how far it goes. And I've also heard stories of people sending out drones and they never came back.
That's my thought is you've got to learn to fly the buggers. Like you spend hours and hours, you know, they're not like homing pigeons. You can call them. They won't necessarily come back. They're like golden retrievers. My golden retriever, one of them. One comes back eventually. The other one, she might go home with someone else. So drones are a bit funny like that too, I reckon. So I find that interesting as well. Thank you so much, Debbie. And thank you, audience, for your participation today. Thank you, Michael, for being our speaker. It was wonderful to find out more about what it is that you do. So every week we always have a member speak to us more about what they do. Michael's been here since the end of last year, religiously every single week. So it was really wonderful to get more insight into what it is that you do. So thank you so much, Michael.